Hi guys, I'm Lou and welcome to my video on alternate picking. Alternate picking is a fantastic technique to synchronise your left and your right hand, and I haven't found many other techniques that are as good at doing this as alternate picking. So what is alternate picking? Alternate picking is literally down and up picking. So you'll be picking your first note as a down pick and your next note as an up pick, and it will just continue on like that for however long you choose to. In this exercise, everything is going to be alternate picked. Okay, so the first exercise we're going to be doing today is a very simple minor pentatonic exercise, and we'll be starting from the 10th fret, and we'll be going up to the 12th fret, and this will be on the B string. So 10 to 12 on the B string, and then we'll be playing exactly those frets on the E string. So 10 to 12 on the E string. And what I want you to do is practice this really, really slowly, because the slower you practice it, the tighter you'll play it when you start to speed up. So what we have is this. And then a bit faster, and quite a bit faster. And what you'll usually do with alternate picking exercises is you'll loop them. So I'll be playing this exercise, and then I'll loop back around, so it'll be... Right, now on this same exercise we'll be doing the same thing descending, so it will start on the E string this time and we'll be going 12 to 10. And we're going to be doing exactly the same thing on the B string. And now what you can do is you can combine the two, so you can go, so you can ascend and then descend. Okay, now the next exercise we'll be looking at is a very simple chromatic exercise. This sounds horrible in my opinion, but it's very good at syncing up your left and your right hand. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be starting from the 1st fret on the E string. I have a 7-string guitar here, so try and ignore the lowest one. But the standard 6 strings will be starting from the lowest, so E on the 1st fret. And we're basically going to be going up to the 4th fret. So we'll be going 1, 2, 3, 4. And that'll be all on the E string. And then we'll be doing exactly the same frets on the A string. And exactly the same frets on the D string. And the G string. The B and the E string. Exactly the same thing. Once again, the same with the pentatonic lick. Play this as slow as you can, because when you start to speed it up, it will sound much tighter. So slowly we will have... So another variation on this is descending it. So instead of starting on the low E, we'll be starting on the high E, and we'll be starting on the 4th fret and going down to the 1st. And then we'll be doing the same thing on all the other strings. So while this is quite a boring exercise and there is pretty much zero musical use to it, this is purely an exercise to warm up your hands. You might find this very boring to practice, but if you practice it every day, eventually it will improve your technique. So the next exercise we'll be looking at is widely used by a lot of guitarists who are in the kind of sort of shred rock, shred metal genre. It's quite a simple technique, but it's a lot more musical, and you can see how alternative picking can be applied to definitely a more musical context with this. So what we'll be doing is we'll be using what's known as a 3-note string, 3-note string pattern, and for this we'll be playing simply 7, 8, and 10. So, and that'll be on the B string. The reason why I'm choosing the B string to start from is because what I'm going to be doing now is I'm going to be transitioning to the E string, and I'm going to be playing the 7th fret on the E string. And you'll see when you're using alternate picking that the E string now is an upstroke rather than a downstroke. That if you were doing a chromatic pattern, it would be a downstroke. You'll be playing the E string on. So. But with this, because it's a 3-note string pattern, you're landing on the upstroke, and that helps transition between the strings so much smoother. And you can build up quite a lot of speed by doing this. So yeah, what we have essentially is this. and then we'll be descending that pattern. So after we've hit the up pick on the E string, we'll be coming back down that pattern. So it'll be, and we'll be only hitting the E string once. So what we'll have is, and there's a few variations on how you can do this. The first one I'm picking is more of a Phrygian kind of pattern. So another variation of this will be instead of playing the 8th fret after the 7th on the B string, you'll be playing the 9th. So what we'll have is, and another variation on this is instead of playing the 10th fret, we will be playing the 11th. So what we'll have is this. And what you can do is you can practice this in sequence. You can play one of each. So we'll have, and you can see with this, once you've got it down, you can really start to speed it up. So if we start slow, and slowly speed it up, you can get a very percussive and a very fast sounding pattern. So the next exercise we'll be looking at is literally building off the previous pattern and showing how you can apply this in a more musical context. So what we'll have here will be this. And a bit slower. Right, so basically what we're doing here is we're playing the same pattern we were before, which is 7, 8 and 10 on the B string, and then 7 again on the E string. But this time we're going to be going to the G string, which you'll notice will be an up pick. So any other string that you transition to after playing 3 notes on that string will be an up pick, and you'll see how much easier it is to transition to that note. So what we'll be playing is the 9th fret on the G string. So. And then once we've hit the 9th fret on the G string, we're going to be going down to the 8th fret on the G string, and then back up. So what we'll have is, and slower. So this basic pattern is repeated twice, and the second time round, the variation on the end, instead of being like it was the first time, it will simply just be, which is 8 to 9. So we'll be repeating that pattern again, and then we'll be going. So all together, this will sound like this. And slower. So the next exercise we'll be looking at will show you how to apply alternate picking in a slightly more musical way. And what I'm essentially going to be doing is I'm going to be taking a 2-string, 3-note per string pattern, and I'm going to be repeating it in octaves. And the reason why you would do this is playing a scale. If you know your scales and you're just shredding, alternate picking, shredding up and down a scale, it doesn't sound that musical because there'll be notes in a chord sequence that will clash, and sometimes chord sequences won't even be diatonic anyway. For anyone who doesn't know, diatonic means any mode or scale which is within the Western major scale. So there are different applications for this, but this is just going to be an exercise to show you how you can apply this and how you can take a simple pattern and make it sound more complicated than it actually is. So what this pattern will sound like is this. Faster. So what we'll be doing, like I said before, is taking a 2-string, 3-note per string pattern and repeating it in octaves. So we start with, so we're starting on the E string, and we're going 2, 3, 5, and then we're repeating that exact same thing on the A string. And then what we need to do is we need to find the octave. So the way that we find our octave is we start with our root, and your octave will always be, until you reach the B string anyway, and I will cover that shortly, it will always be 2 frets away from your original note, and there'll be 2 strings down. So if we count this, if we have our original note on the 2nd fret, we'll be going 3, 4. So we're now 2 frets away from our original note, and you can see we have 1 fret distance between those 2 notes, and then we will be going down 2 strings. So on that same fret, we just simply move down 2 strings. If you have a look now, we have 1 string distance between this new note we have and the original, and we have 1 fret distance between the note we started with and the note we have now, but they are the same note. So I can play that pattern like this. So essentially what this means now is we take that pattern and we move it 2 frets up and then 2 strings down. So we'll be playing here on the 4th fret when we were originally on the 2nd fret. So that means we will be playing exactly the same thing, but now we will be playing 4, 5, 7, and then we'll be playing exactly the same thing on the string below that, the G string. So on the D string, 4, 5, 7. On the G string, 4, 5, 7. So what we have altogether now is now when you get into the higher octaves past the B string, it gets a little bit more complicated. Not too much more complicated, but essentially what has happened is the B string is a semitone higher. So what we need to do is instead of it down here, it's a 2 fret distance. This time it will be a 3 fret distance. So we'll be going the same again. There'll be 1 string distance. So you're going to be essentially skipping only 1 string. That string will not be played. And then this, but instead of it being 2 frets, instead of there being 1 fret between those 2 fingers, there will now be 2 frets between those 2 fingers. So you'll be going 1, 1, 2, 3. And this means that our octave will be played on the 7th fret. And what we'll be playing here is exactly the same as before, the same kind of pattern, which will be 7, 8, 10 on the B string, 7, 8, 10 on the E string. So what we have all together is this. Now this, in and of itself, is just an exercise. All of these are just exercises. These won't actually make your solos sound good, but they will improve your technique. So when you come to actually playing something that is more melodic, you will be able to play it smoother and a lot easier. When you're writing music and when you're writing solos, you need to have the technique, but you also need to have musical knowledge and how to apply those techniques, because there's no point in shredding this over it. No one will like you after you do that. So it's important to understand your scales. It's important to understand which specific notes to hit, and I shall be making more videos on that in the future. I've done a couple of videos with the fantastic Dave Lovejoy, and you'll be able to see the video thing up there. They're more about how to actually write good solos and how to structure them well. This is purely a technique video, but I will be going more in depth about how to apply theory. Please keep in mind, if you're a beginner, not one video is going to give you everything that you need to know about soloing. This is just a very basic grasp of alternate picking, and it can give you a really good start on how to play things well and how to sync your left and your right hand, which is a fantastic thing to learn. It's a fantastic thing to get down as early as possible. But when you have the technique, then you need to start applying the actual music to that. Otherwise, you're kind of stuck in Shredsville and you don't want to be there. So I'll be releasing a video very soon on how to apply these techniques to a more musical context. I'll be releasing all the tabs for this video, and they'll be downloadable in the link below. Please check them out. So yeah, this has been the video. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, please like and subscribe. I hope it helped some people. If you have any recommendations for any kind of videos to do in the future, please let me know in the comments below. Thanks a lot, guys.